My name is Benjamin Brömme and welcome to the Mainathlet podcast. After more than 230 episodes, this is my first English one, and I'm very happy that the Slovenian middle and long distance runner Maruša Mišmaš is my guest. Maruša has broken a national record in the 3,000 meter steeplechase and the 5,000. And so, of course, we talk about her training in Frankfurt with coach Wolfgang Heinig.
I think it's also important to have a good focus, to be able to stay in the present moment and not think about what's next, not think about how much you still have to run, just to be really focused on the present moment. That's important in training when you're doing a long run or you have many repeats, and also in competition. When you're racing, it's really the most important thing is that you're focused in the present moment and not think about the result or the finish line, because the race is not over until it's over.
Mainathlet, der Leichtathletik-Podcast aus Frankfurt am Main.
Welcome, Maruša.
Hi, thank you for having me.
For me, it's a very special episode because after over 230 episodes, this is my first one in English.
Yeah, it's also exciting for me to have a podcast conversation in English, and hopefully more people in other countries will get to know me.
We talk a little bit before we start our interview, and in this week you ran at the Diamond League meeting in Florence over the 3,000 meters steeplechase with the new national record, 9 minutes 10 seconds. And the day after, you already had another competition.
Yeah, it was a very interesting 2 days. On Friday, I raced in Florence, 3,000 meter steeplechase, and then I had to leave early in the morning with another Slovenian athlete. We traveled with a car back home to Slovenia, and we had to compete for our clubs at the team national championships.
You drive from Florence to Slovenia, and on the same day you started another competition?
Yeah, that's true. But it's not that far. It was about 6 hours with cars, so it's okay.
That's quite a journey.
Yeah, but it actually wasn't that bad. It's actually, the time passed quickly.
Okay.
I had some time to go to sleep at home.
So far, you had an outstanding outer season. We talk about your Diamond League meeting in Florence. You also broke the national record of Slovenia over the 5,000 meters with 15 minutes, 8 seconds and 12 in Karlsruhe a couple of weeks ago, just to name a few results. How satisfied you are with the season so far?
Yeah, it was a really good beginning of the season. It makes me really happy and excited for the next part of the season. So yeah, it just shows that I had a great training. I was able to train consistently without injuries or sickness. So that's why I'm prepared to race fast now.
So where and with whom are you training at the moment?
Yeah, so now I'm training in Frankfurt with coach Wolfgang Heinig and with his group. So when I'm in Frankfurt, I train with his group, or when we are together on training camps. But otherwise, I still train a lot at home in my hometown, Kamnik, where my husband actually helps me. She's a really good runner. She's not a professional. She's a hobby runner, but she's really fast and she can help me with my workouts. He is my pacemaker and he helps me a lot.
You talk about Wolfgang Heinig. He's very famous in Germany for being one of the most successful coaches in Germany. He was he's the trainer of Gesa Krause. There are a lot of very successful athletes in his training group. So when and how did you join the group here in Frankfurt?
Yeah, so I get to know him through Gesa Krause. We competed together, so that's how we connected. And I started to train with him in October after the end of last season, because last season was really hard for me. In the winter, I was injured, and then in the summer, I was sick. I had COVID, and it was just really hard because I really wanted to get a medal at the European Championships in Munich, but COVID just took my strength away, and I was really disappointed and sad. And after talking with my ex-coach, I realized that we have a different view of the situation and also my training in general. So I started thinking about a new coach. I just thought that maybe a change would help me to get over the disappointment and to be able to look into the future and get excited about training again. And so I talked to a few people and also to Gesa, and I asked Gesa if maybe she and her coach would be interested in me joining their group. And they seemed really excited about the idea. So in October, me and my husband drew to Frankfurt, and we get to know each other. And so we started working together.
So Gesa introduced you to Wolfgang Heinig.
Yes, that's true.
And after the meeting in October, you moved to Frankfurt?
No, I didn't move to Frankfurt, but coach, I was there for a few days. So I did some tests and some training together with him and Gesa. So he got to know me, and then he wrote me a plan for the next 2 months. And then I was training at home in October and November with my husband, who was with me. So, and then in December, I came to Frankfurt for another 2 weeks. And then we were together on a training camp in January in Kenya, and then in South Africa in March. And now, in the competition season, I come to Frankfurt for a week or two during some races.
So you're switching between Frankfurt and Slovenia the last couple of months?
Yes, but luckily Slovenia is not that far. It's just 1 hour with a plane, so that's fine.
You talk about that Wolfgang Heinig structures your training, but how is your training structured?
Yeah, so there are 2 parts of training from what I can see now. So from October to February, we are in a base period. So we do less intensity, less speed, but more volume, just running. And so usually we were 3 times per week on a track doing some interval training. And then other than that, it was just running. It could be just easy run where the pace doesn't matter, or some runs are more like tempo runs, for example, 4.0 or 350. And then I also did gym 2 times per week. And that was about it. It's a really simple training plan. But then in March, when we started with higher intensity trainings to prepare for racing, we did faster intervals on track. And that's the difference. And maybe we do just 1 time per week gyms now. So it's a little bit less of that, but just more higher intensity running. And also hurdles, because I'm a stippler. Since March, I started doing some track intervals with hurdles.
So what kind of intervals are you doing at the track?
So usually it's 1K repeats or 400-meter repeats or 200-meter repeats. But sometimes it can also change, and we do 500 or 300. So,
and how many in one session? How many?
So in winter time, for example, I did from 8 to 10 1K repeats, and also from 10 to 15 400 meters repeats, for example. And now in the summertime, it's a little bit less. It's usually 5 times 1K or 6 times. It depends a little bit.
And how many kilometers you are doing per week right now?
Yeah, it's around 100 kilometers per week. In the winter, just a little bit more. And on the training camps, it could be more like 120 kilometers. And in a race week, it's a little bit less, maybe 70 kilometers per week. So yeah, it's maybe still not that much for me, because previously I didn't do that many kilometers. So now my coach is slowly increasing.
Okay. And how do you track your training volumes? Do you use an app like a lot of runners use Strava?
Oh, yeah, I use Strava, but not that seriously. I track it more with the use of my watch, the app from Chorus app. I have Chorus watch, so that's how I track my kilometers. And I also keep a training journal, so I write everything there and then count the kilometers per week.
So you write a journal about your volumes?
Yes, and the times of my training.
And you write also other stuff in this journal, like how do you feel at this day or other things?
Yeah, a little bit. Not every day, but if I have some problems, I write it down. If I'm sick, if I have some pain, or for example, I write when I have some massage or physio, just some little thing that maybe if I look at it, I can maybe see if a problem starts happening, then maybe I can see what causes it.
And you also look in your old journals from the last year?
Yeah, sometimes. But my training is it's very different each year, because my ex-coach was always changing his training. So it was hard to compare, actually.
Okay.
But yeah, it's fun to look in the previous years sometimes.
And would you give this advice to other runners to write a journal about their training loads or everything about the training?
Yeah, I think it's good. But for me, the reason why I'm doing it, it's actually just because it feels good. When I do a good training, it just feels good to write it down and to maybe be more confident to know that I trained well. So I think that's the main reason I do it.
So what do you do for your recovery between your training sessions?
Yeah, so I think the most important thing is to get good food, to eat enough and to sleep enough. I think food and sleep are the most important and the most basic thing that you can do, that everyone can do. But then, of course, I also go to a massage at least once per week. And I also do some self-massage, like rolling and with a massage gun. I do stretching. Yeah, and that's about it. I like Normatic at home. I like to use it. But yeah, that's it.
You said most important for you is sleep and good food. So what do you eat, especially when you have high training volumes?
Yeah, so I don't have a special diet or anything. I just, I'm careful that I get enough carbohydrates and enough protein. So just think about that stuff, that I have both of this in my meal.
What would you say, how important is a certain mindset at these distance and at these training volumes?
Yeah, mindset is very important. You just have to be ready to be uncomfortable because, of course, running hard is uncomfortable. It can be painful. So yeah, you have to be prepared for that. I think it's also important to have a good focus, to be able to stay in the present moment and not think about what's next, not think about how much you still have to run, just to be really focused on the present moment. That's important in training when you're doing a long run or you have many repeats, and also in competition. When you're racing, it's really the most important thing is that you're focused in the present moment and not think about the result on the finish line, because the race is not over until it's over. And yeah, if you lose focus, it gets harder. You make a mistake. So focus is really important.
How do you stay focused in the present moment?
Yeah, I think I learned it over the years. I learned to be patient and to be really focused. I think meditation helps. A few years ago, I started practicing meditation with a meditation app on my phone. That's really helpful. I'm actually really bad with meditation, but just practicing it and hearing the meditation guide telling you things like how to stay present, if you have a thought or a feeling, how to just not to engage with it, but return to your present moment. And it really helps. And it also showed in races that I'm able to really stay present and keep my focus.
So you use this app every day?
Well, not every day, but I try to use it often, yes. And I would really recommend this to anyone. I think that's the most important thing you can do, not just for athletics and racing, but in general in life.
Yeah. What's the name of the app you are using?
Yeah, I like Calm. This is the app that I use. I like it.
What are you doing when you're not wearing running shoes? Is there still time for other hobbies?
Yeah, actually now I have quite a lot of free time because last year I finished my master's degree in biochemistry. So before that, I was actually quite busy with studying and working on my master thesis. But now I have free time during my training. So yeah, sometimes I'm a little bit bored because I'm not used to having free time in between. But I like to read, for example. And also, I like photography. I bought a camera last year, so now I'm learning photography. So I like to do that. When I'm in a new town, I really like to take pictures of a new city for the nature. So yeah, that's something I'm interested in.
Is this also something that helps you stay relaxed?
I wouldn't say it helps me stay relaxed right now because I'm still learning and I'm a little bit stressed and I want to take good pictures. And then maybe sometimes I get angry when I don't think I'm good enough. So yeah, but it's a good, how do you say, distraction.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think just about training, but I have another hobby.
But it sounds like you're also very ambitious to be a good photographer.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy it. I like taking good pictures, but yeah, I want to be good at it.
Another question I always ask my guests is, can you remember your first training session or your first competition as a runner?
My first training session, I don't think I remember it. I started training in the first year of primary school. So, but I remember my first competition. So I started training in the first year of primary school, but then I stopped because I didn't really like it. And I preferred gymnastics that I also trained. But my brother was still training athletics, and he went to a cross country race, a small cross country race that our club organized. And I also joined. And at that day at home, I said to my dad that I will win. And he said, well, you have to train if you want to win races. But I was decided to win, and I went to that race and I actually won. So that was a really nice memory. And then after that, I started training again.
How old you?
Because I really enjoyed that day.
How old you was?
Yeah, I don't know. It was first or second grade of primary school. So 7 years, something like that. So yeah, it was a really small race, but it was a fun day.
But when did the idea of performance come into play for you? Was there another key moment?
Yeah, so for a long time, I didn't really enjoy athletics that much and running. I just trained because my parents told me that I should train something just to be active and healthy. And I'm really thankful for them for this. I think that's really important. I think every child should do some sports, not seriously competitively, but just to be active. But when I started to think more seriously about it was probably in high school. In my third year of high school, I changed my coach. I went to a bigger group. I was training with a group of boys who were more serious. They were really pushing at the training on the track, and they pushed me. And yeah, I started to enjoy this hard training, and the results also got better. And I just saw that I could be actually good. And yeah, it was just that I started to love it and see the results, and it just happened. I don't think that was one defining moment, but I just slowly progressed and started to enjoy it more and more. And yeah, here I am now.
But it sounds like it was very important for you to join this group.
Yeah, that's true. Because before that, I wasn't that serious about training and athletics. But with that group, with the boys that were really serious and trying and pushing hard, I started to get into this feeling, to that mindset. And yeah, so that was important.
And is your brother still into athletics?
No, he actually then stopped running and started training handball. But now he is training for a triathlon, for an Ironman. So he is training a lot, yeah.
Oh, wow.
But not professionally. Yeah, he's working, and besides that, he's training for an Ironman.
So what are your goals for this year and maybe also for the coming years?
Yeah, so this year, the most important goal is World Championships in Budapest, of course. I want to be the best there. I want to have a good time and a good position at the World Championships. But then even a bigger goal is next year at the Olympics for Paris. So I really want to be my best there. And then for the coming years, I'm not really sure. I'm also thinking about family. So I would actually maybe like to start a family after the Olympics and then maybe come back like Giza. Yeah, she's like a role model for me. She seems to be doing really great. So I would like to have that as well.
So what drives you to give so much for the sport?
Yeah, I just love it. I just enjoy running, training, competing. I can't imagine living any other way. This is my life now, and I really enjoy it. And actually what's driving me is just knowing that I can still be better. I still have more to show. I'm 28 years old and I had quite a long career, but I still feel that I haven't showed everything because I had so many problems in my career, so many injuries and just hard moments. And I feel that there's still more in me, and that's giving me the drive to keep pushing and to keep trying.
So you said that you have so many injuries. What are you doing right now to prevent other injuries?
Yeah, so like I say, I try to have a massage often, go to physio, also try not to run too much, but also do some cross training in the winter. I still did some biking, to not have too many kilometers at once because previously I didn't do it as much. But also I think that this it helps that I have a base period in training when we do less intensity and more volume, because with my previous coach I didn't have this base training period, but we always did high intensity as well. And I think that this year the base period really helped me because during that time, all my little chronic injuries healed. So I'm really happy about that. But yeah, you never know. Injuries happen. It's a part of sport. We're all trying to prevent them, but that's impossible.
So I asked each of my guests the next 5 questions. So and the first one is always, what was your greatest competition so far?
I have to say the Olympics in Tokyo. It was my best result and also my best emotion because I actually started working with my ex-coach after Rio. I was injured and didn't go to Rio, and I started working with him as a new coach, and we decided to go to Tokyo together, that we will prepare to be our best. In Tokyo, we promised each other we will do our best to be there. So we were preparing for that for 5 years. We got an extra year. So it was really just, I thought about Tokyo for those 5 years and I came there. I also had problems before Tokyo. A few months before I injured my hamstring. So I was running with pain, but, me and my coach were able to adapt and still prepare our best. And so when I finished in Tokyo in 6th place and a new national records, I was really proud of me and my coach because of all of those problems. And I just feel like I did my best and I couldn't do more. So I was really happy and proud. And also, 6th place. I was happy with that.
Absolutely. And it was also in a very difficult time. COVID was a big problem. It wasn't even quite easy to get to Japan. You have to do a lot of tests, COVID testing when you travel, when you arrived there. So probably there were a lot of pressure before you get to the stadium before the race.
Yeah, that's true. It was a really interesting time. We had to do a lot of tests even before we traveled. And then in Japan, we had to do a test every day. So yeah, that was interesting. But I was really in a special mindset at that time. I was so focused on my competition and I was just trying to be calm and not think about anything that could go wrong.
Yeah.
So I was actually really calm. Of course, nervous and full of adrenaline. But other than that, I was just trying not to get distracted by all of this that was happening besides the Olympics. So yeah, I had a really good experience even with all of that. And even though the stadium was empty, which looked a little bit sad, but I just focused on my race and didn't really miss anything. And I wasn't at the Olympics before, so I don't really know how it would be otherwise. So I'm looking forward to next year, to Paris.
And on the other hand, what was your most difficult competition or maybe time in sports, and what were you able to take away from it?
Oh, there were so many difficult moments in my career. One of the hardest was last year when I got sick with COVID just a few weeks before European Championship in München. So yeah, after COVID, I was really weak, but somehow I still wanted to go to München and compete there. I just didn't want to give up. I just thought that maybe at the race with the adrenaline, I would be able to perform well, but I didn't perform well. I somehow made it to the final, but I was by far the last one. Far from my best. So that was really hard to accept because the whole winter when I was actually injured and I was doing cross training, I still believed that I would be able to get a medal there. It was my thought and my motivation at every training. So that was really heartbreaking that it didn't work out because I was so close and then I got sick with COVID. That was one of the hardest moments.
So, when you, after that, when you went back to training, what was one thing you really love to do? So what's your favorite training session?
I enjoy every training, especially running. Maybe gym is my least favorite, but my favorite would be track intervals with hurdles because I just love running over hurdles. So I really enjoy that, even though actually the first time I do a bit longer track intervals with hurdles, for example, 1K repeats with hurdles, I always ask myself, why am I doing this? Running hard over hurdles is so hard. But then the second time it's usually much better and I really enjoy it.
And on the other hand, your least favorite training or maybe your most hated training?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I really like every type of training. Probably gym exercises would be my least favorite. I like running, so gym can be a little bit boring. But there are still some fun exercises also in the gym.
Which exercise you doing? I
just like training. Gym? We do a lot of different exercises. So yeah, we cover the leg muscles, but then also we do abs. I do a lot of planks to have a strong core and some other little muscles with elastic bands. I do a lot of that just for injury prevention to have strong ankles and some lateral muscles on the legs. So yeah, a little bit of everything.
So my last question always is, what would you want to pass on to young athletes or maybe to your younger self?
I would just say to be grateful for what you can do, that you can run, that you are healthy. I think just that's really important because a lot of times we take things for granted and we don't realize how lucky we are, and we just get angry and frustrated where things don't work out as we imagine, and we forget that we don't see the many little moments that are going well. So to just, never forget that, be grateful for what you have and be proud of your work, what you have achieved.
Maruša, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. This was fun.
This was the latest episode of the Mainathlet podcast. If you liked the episode and would like to hear more English episodes, please write me on Instagram or an email. Thank you and goodbye.